how does a do while loop work, right? So again, a very, very rarely used kind of a loop, right? So you have a structure like this, do, then you have some braces, and this is the body of the do while loop, right? And then here you have while, and you write a condition. So guys, how does this particular loop work? How does this particular loop work? Guys, first of all, let's assume there is some line of code before this do while loop. There is a body, B, and there is some lines of code outside this also, right? So guys, how this actually runs is, first of all, you execute whatever lines of code are before the do while loop. Then when you come to the do block now, first of all, we execute the statements or execute the body of the do while loop once, and then we go to check the condition. So see guys, the unique thing about the do while loop is that you execute the body once, you execute the do block once, and then only you will go to check the condition, right? So irrespective of whether the condition is true or false, the do while loop runs at least once. देखो भाई समझने का try करो. First of all, you execute the lines of code before the do while loop. Then guys, you come and execute the body of the do while loop. I will enter inside the do block and execute the do body at least once. Okay, execute. Now after this do block has been executed once, right? Then I go to check the condition. Then I go for the condition check. So after the body has been executed, then I go to the condition check. Now let's say if the condition evaluates to be true, then we will again go back and execute the body of the do block. Then again check the condition. If it is true, again go to the body. This loop will keep on going on. And the moment condition evaluates to be false, we will come outside the do while structure and will execute the code that is after it. But if you look at this flowchart very carefully, right, the body is executed once irrespective of whether the condition is true or false. मान लो मैंने कुछ ऐसा कोड लिखा, do SOP yo, okay, while 5 equal to 10. So you will see that the condition of this while, right, the do while condition is false, right? 5 equal to 10 is false. But even if the condition is false, you will see that yo is getting printed once, right? Why? Because first of all, you execute the do block and then we go to the condition check. So first of all, I will execute the do block, which is yo. Then I go to the condition check. Condition is false, so I will come outside the do while block. So guys, the interesting part or the thing that separates out a do while loop is once you will execute the body, and then you will go to the condition check. And then depending on whether the condition evaluates to be true or false, you will execute the body again or you will come outside the do while structure. Okay. So in a do while loop, you execute the body once and then only you go to check the condition. देखो, पहले outside है, execute the body once, then go to check the condition. If condition is true, again execute the body, check the condition. If condition evaluates to be false, come outside the do while structure. Okay. So now one question that almost everybody asks, right? Hey, Adarsh, you told us 3 types of loops, right? A for loop, a while loop, and a do while loop. But when do I use what kind of a loop? How do I know? So guys, generally, a do while loop is very different, right? A do while loop mein, if you want your instructions such that first you want to execute your body, then only you want to go and check the condition, right? अगर आपके पास कोई ऐसा situation है wherein first you want to execute your body and then you want to go to check the condition and then execute the body again or not according to that condition, then so it is a pure straightforward case of a do while loop, because this is how a do while loop works. Boss, you will execute the body once and then only you will go to check the condition. तो अगर ऐसा है कि आपको बॉडी को एक बार तो रन करना ही करना है, उसके बाद कंडीशन चेक करना है, तो यूज अ डू व्हाइल लूप. ओके, सिंपल. नाउ द क्वेश्चन कम्स, हाउ डू यू डिसाइड बिटवीन अ फॉर लूप and a while loop? When do you use a for loop versus when do you use a while loop? That is the burning question, right? So guys, 99.99% cases of the time, the code that you write using a for loop, that can be written using a while loop. And if you are writing a code using a while loop, you can write it using a for loop also, right? So for loop and while loop are generally used interchangeably. आपको कभी भी कोई भी use कर सकते हो. But as a rule of thumb, what I follow generally is, when you know that the code will run for let's say 10 times, 20 times or n number of times, जब मेरे को पता है कि मेरे को instructions को 10 times, 20 times or n number of times run करना है ना, then go for a for loop. When I know how many times the loop will run, go for a for loop. If you look at my for loop, right, see, I always generally had patterns wherein I knew how many times the loop is going to run. So if you know the precise number of times the loop is going to run, just go for a basic for loop. That will do the job. But let's say if you don't know how many times the loop will run, then go for a while loop. मेरे को नहीं पता कितना बार loop चलेगा, right? I don't know. If you don't know how many times the loop will run, but you just know that, boss, till the point this condition is true, the loop should run. अब जैसे ये condition false हो रहा है, the loop should not run, right? Then go for a while loop, right? अब हो सकता है कि this condition becomes false after 3 times running of the loop, or this condition becomes false after the loop runs for 50 times. I don't know. So if you don't know how many times the loop is going to run, but you know that, boss, I am dependent on this condition, then just write a basic while loop, right? So think of the Spotify example. ऐसा कुछ होगा, while loop button, while loop button equal to 2. Just writing a basic pseudocode, right? Play song, something like this. So see guys, I don't know ना user का mood कैसा होगा. हो सकता है कि after the song is played for once, the user switches off the loop button, right? I don't know. So that is why I have written this condition in a while loop. Boss, I don't know how many times will this loop run, but I know that when this condition becomes false, just stop running this loop, right? So while loop button is to keep on playing song, right? And the moment this condition becomes false, stop playing this song. Okay. So if you don't know the precise number of times, how many times the loop will run, but you know the condition, boss, when this condition becomes false, stop the loop, then you can simply use a while loop. But again, guys, you can use for and while loop interchangeably. This is just a rule of thumb that I generally follow, right? But it might be convenient to you otherwise also. Okay. So this is the basic burning question of when do you use a for loop versus when do you use a while loop versus when do you use a do while loop. So see guys, in the sum of digits of a number, now why did I prefer while loop? Because I didn't know how many times the loop will run, right? If the number, अगर मेरे को खाली n दिया है ना, मेरे को नहीं पता है कितना बार loop चलेगा, right? If n is 187, the loop will run for 3 times because there are 3 digits, right? If the number is 18754, the loop will run for 5 times, right? Because there are 5 digits. But just looking at n, I cannot say ना, looking at integer n, how many times the loop will run. So I just put a condition कि भैया जब तक n 0 से बड़ा है, keep on running the loop. That's it. I don't care whether it runs 2 times, 3 times, 5 times or whatever, right? So that is when we go for a while loop. Okay. Guys, is this idea making sense? The overview idea, what I'm trying to say. You can use both interchangeably. But generally, when you know kitna baar loop chalana hai, use a for loop. And when you just know the condition, ki boss, when the condition becomes false, then just use a while loop. Okay? Nahi pata hai na kab hoga, 20 baar chale, 50 baar chale, I don't care. Okay? So now let's go and discuss the odd question. It's complicated how to write code using question, right? Okay, guys. You have to keep taking integers as input until you get an odd number as input, right? So basically, you need to keep on taking inputs from the user until you get an odd number. Okay. Your output will be n, which represents the number of numbers you had to take input up till encountering an odd number. So first, let us try to understand what is this question saying, guys. So guys, this will be the last question for today. Okay. And tomorrow we'll do some more problem solving on loops only, right? So we'll try to spend 2 hours at least more on loops, and then we'll go to nesting of loops, break and continue, and all these things, right? Okay. 1 second. So let's say guys, you are basically taking numbers input from the user, right? Or question kya bol raha hai? You need to keep on taking input until the user gives you an odd number. Okay. So let's say you start taking input from the user, right? The user enters the number 4. You see that boss 4 is an even number. So again, you will ask the user to enter a number, right? Let's say user enters 8. Again, it is an even number. So you will again prompt the user to enter a number. Okay? Now let's say the user enters an odd number. The moment the user inputs an odd number, you will stop. You will stop. Aap ruk jao. Okay? And then you have to tell me how many numbers have you read as input. Dekho, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So 3 numbers you have read up till when the user gave you an odd number. है ना? कितना number मेरे को read करना पड़ा है to get the first odd number from the user. That is what we want to print. Okay. Let's take an example, right? Let's look at this input, right? So the first input is 4, then 8, then 6, then 10, then 12. Okay, all these are even numbers. And then the user gives you the odd number. So what should be your output, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The output should be 6. That boss, you need to read 6 numbers before you get the first odd number from the user. Is the question making sense, guys? You have to repeatedly keep on reading integers until you get the first odd number. And the moment you get an odd number, you need to stop. Okay. And you have to tell how many numbers have you actually read. Okay. Okay. So guys, can you think up of any approach? Anybody, any approach? While do while. Achha guys, first of all, see this question is ideally suited for a do while. Okay. You can also use a while loop, that is also fine. Do while से भी कर सकते हो, ठीक है? दोनों वैसे सोचा जा सकता है ये question को. So let us try to think, why do you think it is a do while? Let me give you the arguments for a do while, right? Because first of all, you need to take an input. देखो, first of all, you need to take an input and then only you will check whether it is an even or an odd number, right? पहले आप input लोगे और फिर ही तो आप check करोगे ना? See guys, what I will do. First I take the input as 4. Then I check. Is this number an odd number? No. So I again take an input. Then input comes as 8. Is this number an odd number? No. I again take an input. So सबसे पहला काम क्या है मेरा? My first job is that I need to take an input and then only I need to check whether that input is odd or even. So let us try to make a scanner. You can do it using a normal while loop also. That is also fine. But I'll show you a do while. Okay. Now what do I do, guys? I made a scanner. So अब मैं क्या बोलता हूँ? Do. Okay. Do. So first of all, what do I need to do, guys? I need to read a number n input from the user. I will read an integer from the user. कर लिया reader? अच्छा guys. Now you have read an integer. So see, I need to count how many integers have I read. before I get an odd, मतलब कितना integer मैंने read किया है till I get the odd number. So guys, try to understand. I will also have a counter. Okay, let's say in count is equal to 0, and this will tell me how many integers have I read till I get my first odd number. So I read an integer input from the user. Now क्योंकि मैंने एक integer read किया है, what should I do? I will do a count plus plus. Okay, इतना सा. अब now guys, once I have read the integer as input, let's go to the condition check. Boss, I will have to keep on taking inputs from the user and increasing count till n modulo 2 equal to 0. सोच के देखो guys. Let us try to understand what this part of code is actually doing, right? See guys, first of all, my count is 0. Okay. Now I come to this do block, right? So I will run this. I will read a number input from the user. Let's say n is equals to 8. Let's say n is equal to 8, right? Let's say so I have read the number n equal to 8. ये पहला integer है जो मैं read किया हूँ. So I do a count plus plus. कि boss, I have read one integer from the user. So my count becomes 1. कि boss, this 8 is the, or let's say this was 4, right? So this 4 is the first integer that I have read from the user. Now I go to the while. Now I go to this condition, right? Guys, is 4 an even number? Yes, 4 is an even number, right? So this condition is true. So I will again execute the do block. भैया फिर से input लो, the number is an even number. So while the number is even number, you will again keep on taking inputs, right? So 4 is even. So I again go back to the do block and again I will take input from the user. Why count? To keep track of how many numbers you have read from the user. उसका count बता रहा है. Okay. So now guys, again you will read a number integer. So you read the number 8. So the value of n will become 8 now. Okay. So I have read this number 8 from the keyboard. Okay. So let us increase the count. Because this 8 is the second integer that you have read, right? So I do a count plus plus. Yes, you can do a count plus equal to 1 also. So now the value of count will become 2. कि भैया दो number मैंने read कर दिया है अब तक. Okay. I go to check the condition. See guys, 8 is also even. That means I still need to read inputs. So I will again go back to the do block, again read an integer input, and this time I read a number 6. So read कर लिया 6. Now because I have read an integer, let me increase the count. Boss, I have read one more number. So I do a count plus plus and count becomes 3. Okay. Then I check the condition. Boss, 6 is again even. So again I will go back and read another number, right? So I read the number 10. I read the number 10. Okay. Now I see. I read the number 10 and I increase count. Boss, this is the fourth number that I have read. Okay. Now I go and check the condition. 10 is also even. So that means again I want to read input from the user. So I will again read an integer. And let's say I read the number 12. I have read the number 12. So I will add 1 to the count. Boss, this is the fifth number that I have read. Dekho guys, 12 is the fifth number that we have read. Okay. Now I again go to check this condition. Boss, 12 is an even number. 12 is an even number. So again I will go to read input from the user. Now I take the input and this time the input is 13. That is, we have gotten the first odd number that the user has given. That means now I need to stop. So bhai, मैंने 13 read किया है ना? I have read 13. So first increase the count. That is, this is the sixth number that I have read. Okay. Now guys, I check the condition and I see that 13 is not an even number. This condition now will become false. That is, 13 is an odd number. So I come outside the do while loop and guys, count will tell me how many numbers have I read up till I get the first odd number. Dekh lo, 6 numbers I have read in total to get the first odd number, which is 4, 8, 6, 10, 12 and 13. Okay. What if odd comes in between? The moment you read an odd integer now, you will do a count plus plus and then you will come outside the while loop because the condition will become false. समझ आ रहा है what I'm trying to say? Let me try to quickly do a dry run once again if you want, right? See, मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, थोड़ा इसको ऐसा करो. Let's bring this count above if that helps in making more understanding, right? Okay, let's try to understand, right? Yeah, we should print count, correct? Outside this do while loop, you should do a system.out.println. Let's try to submit it and see once, and then I'll explain it to you, right? So please try to do the same question using a while loop also. It's also simple, right? Shouldn't be very difficult. 10 on 10 test cases failed. Why? Let us try to see. 1 second, guys. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, अभी के लिए एक बार ऐसे करेंगे हम लोग. We'll declare n outside. You are not aware of the concept of scopes, right? So I'll just declare n outside and every time we'll just read it. Okay. ठीक है? अच्छा. We'll do this. This should work. We'll understand this when we discuss about scopes, right? So you cannot declare a same variable twice inside the same scope, right? So that was the problem. But yeah, I think it's not in our scope today to discuss it. But yeah, let us try to understand it, right? Just declare int and outside the loop itself, right? So that should work fine. Let's quickly try to do a dry run on this and